Okay, good afternoon everybody and welcome to the Love Team Time Trial Showdown. This is week 8, so the last week of the series, and the only thing we have to follow this up is the finals, which are going to happen in a few weeks' time. So we've got 13 teams for you today, head to head. I've no idea of the results myself, and it's a slightly longer course in 25.2 kilometers. So we're going to have 10-kilometer split, a 20-kilometer split, and then the finish. But obviously the 20-kilometer split, the leading teams are going to be almost at the finish. Let's have a look at the course. This is Kiev in Ukraine, or a digitized version of, to support the what's going on over there. Now you can see from the course profile, nothing much to hinder the riders, a couple of bumps until the end, and the end I think is going to see a push up to the line, so it could make a difference if some of the finishes are tight. As I say, I've no idea, I haven't been privy to the results so far. I'm looking forward to this one. It should be exciting because a couple of the teams have been snapping on No Pins' heels, Pokemotion and Ciboire in particular, but even Beach Daz rather, have been giving them a run for the money lately. So this is going to be exciting, folks. Hang on to your hats and let's follow the action. I'll run through the teams and the number in the of riders, etc., as we look at each individual team once the race gets underway. Now obviously 6 members is the total number you can have. The more you've got the better, but 3 is the minimum, and I'm hoping to see none of the teams just fielding the 3 that's required. Okay, you can hear the countdown beeper. We're going to be getting underway in a couple of seconds, and they're off. As I say, I'm looking forward to this one. Should be exciting. We'll get the countdown happening live, as you can see on screen, and I think No Pins were the first to hit the 0.1 kilometer target. Yes, they were, but very, very close between all the teams, to be honest, at the moment. We're not going to be calling out any times yet, purely and simply because it's too early. What we are going to do though is have a look at the teams, and you can see that No Pins fielding 6 riders. I think they've got a new one here that I haven't seen before in Hogan, but the rest of them, Gleason is not a regular, but we've seen him before. So yeah, they've got a very strong team out with Gringo here as well, Zach Harner. So this is the team to beat, folks, and they've proved that over the weeks. Although running them very close behind, we'll have a look at some of the other teams. Now obviously, as I said, 6 members, that is going to give them maximum effect in the team time trial because of the drafting, and more about that as we go through the race as I explain what's going on. Whereas Pokemotion sadly only have 3 members tonight, so they're not and this is no disrespect to the Pokemotion riders who are fantastic, but they're not going to be able to compete with 3 riders. They're definitely out of the win tonight. I can say that categorically. Doesn't matter how hard they ride, they're not going to be able to compete with 6 riders, and you may well see them struggling to stay together as well. We'll see what happens. I mean, obviously all 3 have got to finish, but really they need to be drafting and sorting that side of it out and staying close with each other, which they are now. The very experienced team, very experienced riders, so we'll see. On to Ciboire, and they're only fielding 4 riders. We've seen these 4 riders before, so these are 4 of the strongest riders from the Ciboire team, but again they're at a disadvantage when they're up against No Pins, who are fielding 6 riders. And I can't state how effective fielding 6 riders is, folks. Those 2 extra riders allow each rider in the team to get extra rest and recovery. as they take part in the drafting technique, which is what team time trialing is all about. Okay, on to OTR Black, and they're fielding 5 members, and these 5 members may well all stay together, but OTR Black are another pretty experienced team. We'll see how they get on. They may decide to push on off the front, the riders, and if Morgan gets dropped off the back, we'll have to wait and see, although he's currently rejoining them here. But you can afford to lose the odd rider, but you don't want to be doing that in the first half of the race. If you're 5 riders or 6 riders, you should be staying together till at least the 50% mark of the race. Okay, OTR Black, as I say, a pretty experienced team. Kriar True 2, my ex-team, 6 riders and 6 good riders out tonight, including Jonathan Stone, Jonathan Geddes, Jeffries. Yeah, this is a sound with us. This is a sound team, folks, and they know the score. They're pretty experienced. You can see them doing the through and off here. They've come into their own towards the middle end section of this race, and I expect them to do better things in season 2 as well. They're only going to gain from the experience, but they are the kind of team that will stay together. Having said that, we've got a bit of a gap here, but yeah, they will basically stay together until the death, I think. We'll see what happens. Beach Daz, they've got 6 riders out, and we can see all 6 on the screen at the moment, tightly packed. Now these have become a very, very well drilled unit. Very impressed with them last week when they came very close to, in fact, no pins weren't actually there, so Beach Daz took the win. But my question last week was, would they have taken the win from no pins? And we'll see tonight. I expect them to push them very close, and as I say that, you can see that both no pins and Beach Daz are on 21.5, so the neck and neck, only a few meters between these 2 teams, and I think this is going to be a credit card separating them at the end. I do think Beach Daz will push no pins very, very close. So a look at OTR Blue, and OTR Blue, another experienced team as you would expect from the OTR stable. They're fielding 6 well-known riders, including team leader James Ogilvie here. So yeah, fantastic team, really know the score now, really getting into the swing of things, and again, expect this team to do really well in season 2. I mean, season 1 was all about, you know, learning the techniques and everything else, but I think when we get into season 2, I think you're going to see some stunning performances by the teams that are doing well in this series. Okay, never know how to pronounce it, but we'll go for Tomake. And Tomake have got 6 riders, but you can see here they shouldn't be having, what, they've got a 5-6 bike length gap between 3 and the 3rd rider and the 4th rider. Now that's just nonsensical, because it means that the group behind are having to put in an effort, get on the wheel. The 3rd rider's had to drop back to pick them up. Now he speeds up. That's wasted effort, folks, and that's not what you should be doing in a team time trial. So they need to get their act together, and they need to practice this and become a bit more smoother. I mean, they're looking good now, so maybe that was just a blip, but yeah, when I see it happening once, it's and we're watching them, it's pretty obvious it happens more than once. So teams that allow gaps to form in their riding needs to practice to eliminate that kind of setup. Okay, TFC Degenerates, They're fielding 4 riders, 4 good riders. We know all these riders, we've seen them before, and they are a well-drilled unit as well. Shame they've only got 4 riders. I do feel for the teams, in particular Pokemotion, who are only fielding 3 riders. I do feel for the teams that can't field a full team, because they're at a disadvantage from the start through no fault of their own, and it's hard work when you're not able to take the amount of recovery. I'm being told that TFC, the 5th rider, had a disconnect, so what we call a virtual flat, and wasn't able to join these 4 riders. No fault of his, you know, these technicals can happen, and it just spoils the it spoils the race a little bit, not too much, but a little bit, because I like to see, like we're looking at OTR Green here with 6 riders all together, very experienced OTR team. And again, I think we're going to see, this is one of the teams that you're going to see improving week upon week, because they've got so much experience and they're getting stronger, in each competition. So expect this team to do well in season 2 as well, where we're down to about 14-15 teams in this season 1. Season 2, I think we're going to see a lot more being added to that, so it's going to become even more exciting, and more details about when we will get season 2 later. Okay, 5 riders from West London VR. And this is nice to see, because West London VR have been struggling with either 3 or 4 riders. So it's nice to see them fielding 5 tonight, looking good, working together. And again, a good team. I mean, I have to give another shout out here to Stu Fawn, who was one of the riders that was dropped off almost a kilometre in an earlier edition, and actually managed to come back to his teammates and help them finish. And that was when they were down to 3, they were down to 2 off the front. So him actually coming back allowed them to score points. But a superb team, I love to watch them. And again, they're gaining in experience as well. And it does look like they're managing to recruit this extra riders. So hopefully we'll see them in season 2. Misfits, sadly 3 riders, and it's been like this for a few weeks now for Misfits. They're not able to field a full team. They're very strong riders, Moni, Sunika and Nick Hall, very strong riders, but 3 riders, they're just not going to be able to compete. And that's just a true fact, folks. I keep mentioning it, but it's true. You cannot compete if you're down to 3 riders with teams that are fielding, 5 or 6. You're just out of it from the very beginning. I mean, they're doing well to stay with Vipers at the moment, but we'll see what happens. And here's Viper. Well, they're down to 3, which is why they're staying with them. So they're staying with Viper purely and simply because both the latter teams, the Vipers and the Misfits, are both down to 3 members, and that's why they're running last in the series. Now, if they could field full teams, I'm pretty sure that they wouldn't always be, at the tail end of the races. Hopefully, a bit of recruiting will go on during the off season, and come season 2, we'll have full teams taking part. I hope so anyway. That's my hope. Anyway, let's have a look back at what's happening with the action. And NZ Bro and No Pins, look at this. Beach Stars have taken the lead. Okay, only by about 100 and looks like about 150 meters, maybe a bit less, 100 meters. But Beach Stars have taken the lead. And I said that they were pushing No Pins really, really close, and this is evidence of that. Now, the real excitement is going to come in the second half, folks, because we do know that No Pins are no slouches when it comes to the second half of the race. Now, this is a bit of an anomaly. You don't normally see gaps like this appearing with this team. They're a very well drilled professional unit, but I think what's happening here is Gleason and Hana are trying to up the pace slightly, and they've just gapped their 4 teammates. Or 3, are they down to 5 now? It looks like they're down. Yes, they're down to 5 now. So Horgan, the new rider that I didn't. Yeah, he's been dropped off the back. He's 300 meters off the back, so he's not coming back to this group. So they're down to 5 now, whereas Beach Stars are still 6 riders. So they've got the advantage in riders, and they've got the advantage on the road. That's fantastic to see. And you can see they're actually opening up the gap. It's closer to 200 meters now. And Beach Stars, in fact, do look like they may be going. No, he's coming back. Well done, Rooney. He's got back to them, so they're back up to 6 riders. That makes a huge difference. I know I keep hammering the point, but it really does. The more riders you have, the more you can do through and off with those riders, and you know, the lead riders, the stronger riders, can take that much needed rest when they're off the front. You know, even if it's only for a few seconds, it makes a huge difference. We can see Vanner from No Pins off on the front now, and he's one of the stronger riders from the No Pins team. But he's trying to push it on. You can see there's still, you know, the fracturing only ever so slightly. But this is a sign that they're trying to up the pace, and not all of their riders are able to sort of like handle it as well as they would probably want to do. I mean, I'm not calling anybody out as a weaker rider, but you could clearly see there that they were fracturing slightly. But it'll be interesting, because we do know No Pins, they're capable of pulling it back in the second half. They always seem to leave something in the tank. But anyway, enough about No Pins. Let's look at Pokemotion. Well, we've lost them off screen now. So we're looking at 2 more teams side by side, and these are neck and neck as well. And this is Ciboire. And don't forget, they've only got 3 riders, so they're doing amazingly well to hold off the 5 riders of OTR Black. And they're staying neck and neck with them. And this is impressive, folks, because, you know, as I say, 5 riders are going to have a big advantage over 3 riders. And you can see Turcotte just being distanced from the back wheel of Rutt and Dufour. So, yeah, he's back now, but that hurts. That's what we call burning matches, where you get dropped off a wheel and you have to close it up. But these 2 teams, look, both running 6 members, look, both looking very, I mean, I think you have to admit, of the teams that we've looked at so far, these 2 teams just look so well drilled. OTR Blue, all together, all taking fair turns. True 2, all together, all taking fair turns. Fantastic effort. OTR Green, look, another very well drilled team. All right, they might not be the fastest on the day, but this is going to give them real confidence when they can stay together like this and work as a unit and stay as 6 riders, at least to the halfway point anyway. You know, they should be getting to the 10-kilometer point as a unit. Then you're taking maximum effectiveness of the drafting. And drafting is what team time trialing is all about. It's not about strength, it's about how well can you draft and save energy and then use that energy when it's your turn on the front. The Misfits, look, and the Viper, side by side, same distance covered, so 15.5 for each of them. In fact, they both clicked over to 15.4 about the same time. So these 2 are neck and neck as well. So this is a good battle. There's going to be a few battles to report on as we come into the finish, and that's always exciting for me, because it's not just about the teams up the front, at the front end of the race, it's about the teams at the back end as well. Okay, so here we're going to have the 10-kilometer split, and this is going to be really interesting. Oh, 12 seconds from Beach Stars have over No Pins. 12 seconds, folks. Let's see whether No Pins can turn that around. Then we have a close battle between Pokemotion and Ciboire, and there we've got 13 seconds. And then OTR, well, in fact, I can't discount OTR Black. They're 1 second behind Ciboire. So that's a battle. 3rd, 4th and 5th is a real battle going on. And then we have OTR Blue and 2-2, and I said they were neck and neck. 5 seconds between them. with OTR Green doing a wonderful job to close up to within 10 seconds of True 2. So that's a battle that could well do. 6th, 7th and 8th is a battle going on. Then we've got 9th and 10th and 11th. We've got Tumake, West London VR and TFC, all within 5 seconds of each other. And then obviously Viper and Misfits, 5 seconds between those two teams. Now, look at the time of TFC Degenerates and Viper and Misfits, and look at Viper and Misfits, how far they're behind with the free riders. And that perfectly illustrates what I'm saying, folks, that teams with free riders cannot compete time-wise with teams with 5 or 6 riders. It's just it's a no contest. I mean, if you're the likes of Poker Motion, who are down to 3 riders and are still in 3rd place, that's because the 3 riders are amazingly strong riders. If there were 6 riders, they'd be competing with the top 2, No Pins and Beach Stars. There's no 2 ways about it. Poker Motion would be up there. So this is why it's crucial to try and field full teams. Yes, and I keep hammering on about it, but it is so crucial when we come into these team time trials. So that's the 10-kilometer split. Very exciting. Beach Stars seem to be increasing their lead as well. 300 meters now, just 300 meters, just short of 300 meters. That's a considerable gap at the 10-kilometer to go. 10-kilometer gone stage. They've got another 15 kilometers to do. So chance to pull out that gap even more, or chance for No Pins to close it up. As we look at Misfits. Now Misfits are currently Lantern Rouge team. Only 3 members, as I've said. But take your hat off to them, folks. They're doing really, really well. Now this is a sign, look, that No Pins are really trying to close the gap. When they fracture like this is a team that are very, very experienced and know the score. And these two lads off the front will know that this is hurting their teammates behind. But they want their teammates behind to give that bit extra to close up the 13 meters and get on the wheels, which is what they're doing. So they push off the front like this to try and encourage the riders behind to really, really push. But in doing so, they're now down to 4 riders. They've dropped Steve Brearley, and Steve Brearley is no slouch. He's a real workhorse for this team, but they've dropped him because Steve just cannot handle this extra pace. And in fact, 2 of the riders are struggling to handle the pace as well. As we watch Beach Stars, they're down to 4 riders, but they're looking good. All right, Story's just off the back here, but I'm pretty sure he'll close up that gap. I hope he does. Well, yes, he is doing. But he's having to burn a match up to get on that wheel, and then you've got Bleakley on the front here, running off the front. Doesn't want to push too hard, because in having to close up the gap behind him, that's causing unnecessary pain to the guys behind. It's all about trying to push the pace up but staying as a unit, and when you push the pace up and get a 3, 4, 5 bike length gap on your teammates, that's not really good tactics. You should be talking to each other on Discord anyway, or some other form of messaging, and you should be making sure that you don't leave big gaps, because it really does hurt to close up those gaps. We call it burning matches because of the effort you have to put in. You're basically working above threshold, i.e. burning matches, and there are only so many matches in your box. You can only do it so many times before, as we saw with Steve Brearley, you dropped off the back and you cannot get back on. Which is why, you know, when we saw Stu do that amazing 900 meter catch, it was such an amazing effort, because riders generally cannot close big gaps like a few hundred meters in a competition like this. So Beach Stars are actually pushing out the lead now as we look at OTR Green, still looking good. Still 6 riders. I mean, this team just amazes me every week. They are such a well-drilled team and they look so good together and so strong. And as I say, while they may not be the strongest team on the block, they are definitely improving week upon week. True 2 and OTR Blue, these two are very, very finely matched, and it's going to be interesting. We didn't have much of a gap between them seconds wise at the 10 km split mark, so it'll be interesting to see whether it gets turned around. I do know that True 2 do tend to push on towards the latter half of the race, but OTR Blue will know that as well, so expect a good finale between those two teams. Okay, so Cibois and OTR Black, again neck and neck, with OTR Black just having the front. But we've got Keith, and what's he got here? He's got a 15-meter gap to his teammates, and this is just not making any sense to me. I'm sorry, Keith, but you know, you shouldn't be pushing off the front like this and leaving behind your teammates, because yes, it might encourage them to give that extra bit, but they're not benefiting at all from drafting. I mean, here they come. They're obviously working really hard. You can see the red numbers there from Soderbergh to get on your wheel. But that's not good tactics, folks. Okay, I'm being told that the 20-km split will be on screen very soon because the front teams are very close to it. As we look at Poker Motion, I really feel for this team. 3 members, they're such a strong team. If only they could get those extra members here week upon week, I'm pretty sure they could be further up in the standings. I mean, they're 800 meters behind now, but that's because they're down to 3 riders. So no pins, are they closing the gap? No, in fact, the gap is actually 400 meters. Yes, maybe they're holding it. I won't say they're closing it, but maybe they're holding the gap. You can see that the 4 of them are still together, and that's going to be crucial. They need to stay together. I don't think they can afford to drop to 3 riders. I think they've got to stay as a unit of 4, keep together, and then try and push on. The last 5 kilometers are the key kilometers in a competition like this, especially with a distance of about 25. So the last fifth of the race, and they're coming very close to that now. So that's when they're going to really start pushing on and giving everything they've got. Gleason is just a few meters off the back here as we look at Beach Stars. And you can see that Bleakley is again on the front pushing the pace. So he's obviously one of the stronger riders here. I think that's pretty evident. He pushes off the front slightly and the other riders get on his wheel. That's encouraging them to push. And you can see he's putting out red numbers in order to push the pace here. So 5.9 we saw there in the red. He's definitely pushing the pace up his Bleakley. And the other riders are doing well to stay with him. And now they're giving him, now this is what I mean about recovery, folks. Notice how Polly took over. He said to his teammate Bleakley, he said, okay, get in the draft, get some recovery before it's your turn to go again. So Polly is taking over, doing the work on the front, 5.9. Bleakley is getting recovery, sat on his wheel, in 4th place now actually. So he's getting the recovery he needs, and he will come back to the front once he's had that recovery. I mean, don't get it wrong, folks. Getting recovery, I use that term lightly because, you know, he's still working really, really hard to stay where he is. But he's only putting in 3 watt kilos instead of the 6 he was putting in when off the front, and that's the difference. That's why it's so crucial to get the drafting effect. And a perfect example of that is now. Look at Lyndon on the front doing 5 watt kilos, and look at the riders behind doing 2.9, 3.6. So there's a huge difference. There's at least 1.5, 1.8 watt kilo difference between the man on the front and the riders behind. And that's why the drafting is so important. You can save up to 3 watt-kilos just by getting in the draft. And over a course like this that's going to take roughly about 35 minutes, that's huge. That's a huge saving over a 25-kilometer course. So well done PokerMotion for doing this through and off and giving recovery to the other 2 riders. I mean, this is amazing. They're doing a really good job considering they're down to 3 riders. Now we can see Cibois and OTR Black. Cibois are down to what? They're down to 3 riders at the moment, is it? Yep, we've got a close up here. So they're down to 3 riders now. They've dropped Moni. He's a kilometre behind, so he's long gone. Turcotte pushing 5.2 watt-kilos off the front, but look at the savings behind. We saw there 3.1 watt-kilos from Dufour on his wheel, 2.7 now, 2.6, 2.1 watt-kilos from Ratti on the wheel. That's the kind of saving you can get just by drafting, and it's so important. I know I keep going over it, folks, but drafting is what team time trialing is all about. It's not about the power you put out on the front, it's about the savings that you get when in the draft and how well you draft. And that's why practicing team time trialing, getting into a groove like you can see with OTR Blue here. I mean, just look how well drilled that team is, and look at True 2 as well, but OTR Blue, look on screen now, just look how well drilled they are, how smoothly Barkley is coming past. You know, it's really, and here he is, look, he's realised he needs to close the gap. Maka will get on his wheel, Ogilvy will come through. Just beautiful riding, beautiful, you know, drafting technique, staying on the wheel, staying on the side, get that drafting, get that effect. And it's, and this team, I mean, True 2 know the score. We've done this so much. And the more these teams take part in these kind of competitions, the more experience they're going to get. I mean, OTR Green, you know, are not that far off now, OTR Blue. And I think next season we're going to see that gap come even closer. I think we're going to see a more close battle between those 2 teams, which will be nice. It really will. But True 2 and OTR Blue at the moment are within touching distance of each other, which is really, really nice to see. I mean, we've got Beach Stars now are making a mockery of this. I say that in a nice way. They're pulling out the gap now to 500 meters. No pins are not going to close that, and this is fantastic because don't forget, no pins, nobody could touch them in the early part of the competition. I think they won like 5 of these events, if not 6. So in fact 6 I think it is. I'll probably get confirmation of that on screen, but no pins have taken 6 wins. So to see them not only overhauled but beaten by such a convincing margin is really fantastic for the competition, in my opinion, because we've got the finals coming up. A couple of wildcard entries to go into the final, but we've got the final coming up, and that's going to be extremely exciting. Can no pins, you know, overhaul this kind of a beating? That's going to be the question on everybody's lips as we go into the finals, because let's be honest, Beach Stars are making them look second at the moment. You know, I mean, no pins have closed it down to 400 meters, 300 meters now, so they're coming good, but there's only 2 kilometers left. I don't think they can close that kind of a gap with 2 kilometers. They needed 5 kilometers to be able to close that kind of a gap. So as we look at the back of the field, we've got Viper and we've got the Misfits, and these are within credit card of each other. Look, nothing in this distance, maybe about 60-70 meters between Misfits and Viper. So yeah, this is going to be a close one. It looks like Viper are just pulling out the lead. 3 riders each, so that's a fair contest, a fair battle. Here we go. We got the 20-kilometer split for you folks. And look at the gap there. 26.15 by Beach Stars and No Pins 26.53. That's huge. That's a huge gap, folks. And in fact, Poker Motion to stay close to No Pins with 3 riders, that's got to be one of the rides of the day as well. Poker Motion with just 3 riders. So here we go. But to be fair, Beach Stars are in the final kilometre. You saw the red banner there. They're going to take this win fairly comfortably. I'm sure they're not going to ease up. They're going to want the fastest time they can get. But they're going to take the win pretty comfortably as we look again at the 20-kilometre splits. And there's some close battles there in the 20-kilometre splits. We'll have a look at how they compare with the 10-kilometre at the end of the race. We'll look at the, you know, what got overhauled, etc. But at the moment, you can see that No Pins are struggling to close up on Beach Stars. Yes, they managed to pull back some of the distance that was pulled out, but that's them going under the red banner now, and Beach Stars went under, you know, a good while ago, at least 45 seconds ago. So that's a huge gap for a race of this distance, 25 kilometers. Oh. Excuse me. So this is nice, as I said, this is nice to see in terms of the turnaround, because it means that No Pins, the way they were dominating has now been turned around. 3 riders from Beach Stars going over the line, so they dropped one of their riders in the final couple of kilometers. No Pins, also 3 riders coming up to the finish. To be honest, look at the wattage they're putting out. So they're really trying on this slope, folks. This is what I said. I said the slope would slow teams down as we came into the end. And this is going to hurt them. They're not going to like this at all. They're a very professional unit, and being beaten by such a margin will sting them. They will want revenge for this, there's no doubt about it. And I'm looking forward to the finals, because they'll be all out to field an even stronger team in the finals to try and pull back this kind of a gap, because this is huge, folks. 3 riders from No Pins going over the line. Even their own strong riders like Jan Vanna couldn't stay with, you know, these front 3, which shows how hard they were pushing. Poker Motion, fantastic job for 3 riders who have all stayed together. I mean, come on guys, don't drop Lyndon off the back. That's it, he's back on, good. Now they want to stay together and go over the line together. They've got less than less than a kilometre to go, but they need to stay together. So Samut doesn't want to be pushing too hard. He wants to let the riders draft his wheel, because, and you can clearly see here, Samut is pushing 4.6 and Lyndon behind is pushing actually higher wattage just to get on his wheel. Whereas if it was on his wheel, his wattage would drop as it's doing now. So this is what I mean about the drafting effect. You shouldn't push off the front and gap your riders, because if you do, like Samut is now going off the back and he's having to put in red numbers just to stay on the wheels. That's where the advantage of sort of like, all right, they're on the slope, but the advantage of drafting really comes in where you're saving the energy. So these 3 riders need to finish together. It is a slight downhill coming up and then a flat finish. So they go over the top of this hill, and then with about, well, not much to go here, as we watch Poker Motion coming into the finish, 400 meters. So OTR Black weren't that far behind Poker Motion here. They've really closed up the gap. Cibois fallen away a little bit towards the end, but again, only 3 members. There we go. Poker Motion, fantastic result considering only 3 riders. And Cibois down to 3 riders as well. So they dropped Moni off pretty early in the competition. So they're pushing hard on the hill as well. OTR Black, what we got? We've got 400 meters between them. So Cibois are going to, in fact, no, OTR Black come over the line. Did they beat? Yes, they've taken Cibois. Well done, OTR Black. In fact, at the end, by a decent margin. And then the next battle is going to be between True 2 and OTR Blue, because Cibois are going to come in with no contest really. They're going to take this next spot, 1, 2, 3, fifth spot. But then the battle is going to be, and it is a battle between 3R True 2 and OTR Blue. There's only a few meters between those two teams. So Cibois take fifth place, but a fantastic battle behind. And hopefully we can get them side by side. Not sure. Yes, fantastic. Well done, Damon. So here we're watching 3 riders from each team have broken away. They've both decided to go with their 3 strongest riders. Now who's going to get this? Because the both, this is credit card stuff. This is fantastic. I mean, who's going to get there first? Let's have a look. Who gets there first? Wow, True 2 just by less than a couple of seconds. True 2 just got to the line, I think. It's third rider over the line, don't forget, folks, so it could be even closer. Could be as little as a second between them. What a fantastic effort. And OTR Green, only 500 meters off the pace as well. I reckon that OTR Green are the team to watch next season, because they're gaining experience week upon week and getting stronger as well, looking stronger. And they're going to come in. They've nobody really to challenge this place in. 3 of their riders have jumped off the front now, so they've left behind Gibault, and obviously Bennett is too far behind. But they've left behind Gibault, and these 3 riders are racing for the line. And that's sensible. Get the fastest time you can. Well done, OTR Green. Very good riding. Okay, so we've got another battle behind between Tomake and is it Degenerates? Yes, and TFC. Now Tomake have managed to stay together. 6 riders. I think as we push towards the line here, that may fracture, but 6 riders, folks, all together as we're coming into the finish. That's really good experience for these riders and will set them well in the future. You know, if you can stay together for the full event, you're gonna learn so much from that. As we watch TFC, now this is what not to do, and I've mentioned this many times. You do not do this, Deadpool. I mean, yes, you're the stronger of this group, but you've got 3 riders behind, 15 meters behind, getting absolutely no benefit from being behind you. Okay, I mean, yes, they're on the hill, so perhaps I'll cut them a little bit of slack there. But certainly, by the time they go onto the downhill or the flat section, they need to be within half a wheel of each other, definitely. And we watch West London VR. They're not far off either, but the battle is going to be between Tomake and Degenerates. And then we're going to have West London coming in slightly behind. And then we've got a battle between Misfits and Viper, but I think Misfits are going to take that one. They look to have about a 300 meter gap. So some exciting results here. What we got? Oh, Tomake just get it from TFC. So Tomake by about, I would say, 5 or 6 seconds from TFC, and then West London VR not far behind. So some close results tonight, or today. Very, very good. Okay, so we're watching now. We've got 2 more teams to come in. We're watching the 3-man Viper team. I really wish this team could recruit a few more riders. I'd love to see them with a full complement and how well they do. I'm pretty sure they could give some of the teams further up the table a run for the money. And Misfits the same. Sadly down to 3 riders now, going under the 1 kilometre to go. I mean, they're going to finish last again, and that's so sad. But somebody has to finish last, and they'll gain experience from this, I'm sure. But it would be nice to see them with full complements and able to use the drafting. It's been a really good competition this week. I hope you'll agree that. I mean, no pins. My old Team 3R guys, very close to my heart, I'm afraid. But I'm not biased. I really wanted to see another team taking their crown in terms of their domination, because it really was. They were absolutely smashing this competition. Like I say, 6 wins out of the 8 wins, I believe. It's either 5 or 6, which is total domination of a competition like this. And so I wanted to see another team giving them a run for the money, and thankfully Beach Stars have done just that today. So I think with everything to play for come the final, here we go. So we're going to get the final results here, folks. You can see NZ Bro finished first, No Pin second, Pokemotion third, OTR Black fourth, as we watch Viper coming in. So yeah, it's only fair to switch to the view. Now this is what not to do. You don't jump off the front and go under the line on your own. Absolutely no point in doing that. Second place, look how far behind third place is. And the time is on third now. If they had held up and drafted Shields to the line, they'd have made a couple of more seconds. So it makes absolutely no sense to finish 1, 2 and 3 rather than 1, 2, 3 all together. I hope the teams are listening to me, because I do know what I'm talking about. And I'm sure the Misfits will finish together, the 3 of these riders. Stay together, stay on the wheels, and it's third rider over the line that the time is taken from. I mean, yes, by all means, push towards the end. If you've got anything left, push towards the end, but do try, as these 3 riders are doing, and this is excellent. This is how it should be done. You stay together and you draft right to the line. Well done, Misfits. That was a masterclass in how to finish as a 3-man unit. So well done. Okay, this is going to be pretty interesting. Let's have a look at the splits. Now, I'm not going to call out the times. I'm going to let you do that for yourself. What I'm looking for here is who turned around who. And basically, you can see that Ciboire got overturned by OTR Black. That's pretty significant, because there was a 1-second gap, but that ended up being a 20-second, 30, in fact, 40 seconds by the finish turnaround. That's huge. And I put that down, folks, to the fact that Ciboire only had 3 riders. Towards the end of the, that proves my point. Towards the latter half of the competition, Ciboire with 3 riders could not compete with OTR Black in terms of recovery. So what else have we got? Did we have any more turnarounds? Yes, we did, I think. We had TFC Degenerates dropped down from increased from 11th place at the 10-kilometer split all the way up to 9th by the 20-kilometer, and then finished in 10th place. So they've done a really good job. West London VR, sadly, they dropped from 10th to 11th and remained 11th at the final finish. So looking really good, this. And there you can see Viper were 12th at the 10-kilometer, down in last place at the 20-kilometer, but managed to pull it back by 5 seconds at the end. So well done, Viper, for overhauling Misfits in the second half. Fantastic riding. Yeah. Just so here we go. Week 8 runner-up is No Pins Race 3R. How unusual to see them as runner-up. and NZ Bro, the winners this week. Fantastic. So this is going to be exciting, folks. Now this is the finalists for the final. You can see the three finalists: No Pins, Pokemotion and Sibwa. You've got OTR Black as a finalist. Now what about Beach Daz? Are they going to be part of the final? Can we offer them a wild card? Or do they not get into the final because they arrived to the party too late? Yes, wild card only. I hope so. I hope Beach Daz can get a wild card entry, folks. That's not for me to say. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think it might. You cannot, in all honesty, give them, put them out of the final, can you, when they're performing so well? We shall see. We shall see. I think it's James Ogilvie that will make that final decision. And I, for one, certainly hope they get a wildcard entry. But we'll have to wait for the announcement on that. So that's about it, folks. That's another wrap. But what a fantastic season. What a fantastic series. Now, as I say, can you just put up for me, Damon, when is the final? Is it in 2 weeks? Is it in 4 weeks? So Damon will just let me know. It's in 2 weeks' time, folks. So the final in 2 weeks' time, and then when we showcase the final, we'll give you details, because by then James should have some idea of when we're going to be promoting season 2. Now don't forget, all these races are available on Esports television. I mean, we've had upwards of 25,000. That's 25k, folks, viewers watching these streams. I mean, that's just amazing. That's the kind of viewing figures which RGT, you know, must be in absolute rapture over, because that's fantastic. 25,000 viewers watching these competitions. And it will only get better as the competition hots up. I mean, this is why I'm so looking forward to the final, and so looking forward to the announcement of season 2, where I genuinely believe we will have more than the teams you've seen taking part this season. I think we had a maximum of 15 this season. Anyway, it's a wrap, folks. That's it. Stay safe, everybody. I'm still under the weather, but I'm doing well. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye for now.